we got shorts.
All right. All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. This is the Solution Podcast. And tonight I have my returning guests, Akil Parker and the lovely Ruby Red. And tonight is a continuation of our previous conversation on relationships and why Black people can't marry one another. Pardon me?
So it's going to be 3 of us participating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yo, I'm on. This Cam.
What's up, Cam?
What's going on, man?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
So the gang's all here. And it's all love in the room.
Black love.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
can people look at this right now, like on Facebook, or they can't?
Yeah. I'm streaming right now on the Facebook, on the Solution Podcast page. So people could also, you could tell your friends they could leave their comments too. If they wanna comment.
Okay.
So I want to start this one off talking about cheating, because I think cheating is a big part of, trust is a big part of why Black women and Black men can't find their way to the altar. So what do you guys think is the main cause of the distrust in our community as far as relationships go?
Yeah.
Who want to go first? I'll go first. What's the question?
What do you think is the main cause of the distrust in our community as far as relationships go?
Cognitive distortion. So basically, in non-clinical terms, thinking errors. I think that people are conceptualizing a relationship in a way that it shouldn't be conceptualized. So they kind of go into it with this idea. And when an idea doesn't happen, it's like, oh, now I don't trust you, because you're not making this idea of what I think should happen. So I would say it's thinking errors on the part of whatever party, kind of has that issue dealing with trust. Because speaking personally, I've been in situations where somebody did something that made them, lose my trust. But I also was able to put something in place so they could gain that trust back, because I recognize that people are flawed and they're going to make mistakes. So I would say thinking errors is my answer.
Okay, so what do you think brings about the thinking errors? As far like, I know you said something about what was it that you said?
The way they conceptualize,
right.
Pretty much the way people think about this idea that people have about a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a counseling session tonight. And, that's the thing that I'm seeing over and over and over and over and over again, is that, people have these thinking errors about a relationship, but it does stem from communication too, though. And, is that, people have these thinking errors.
My bad. Sorry about that.
But no, so essentially, yeah, that's what I think it comes from. Communication errors too. Some people say, I'm not responsible for what you understand. I'm responsible for what I say, different things like that. And men and women, have biological brain differences. And sometimes when, we communicate with one another, one, sex could say something, the other sex may not understand what they said in the way that they said it. So that's the foundation of the thinking error right there, is because I thought that you said something this way, but that's not essentially what, you said. I mean, what do you think?
I mean,
It's not,
I think it's as simple as people don't have the honor. Like, people are not being men and women of their word. And the grass is always greener also. So people like to look out at what another person's situation is and say, oh, I want my relationship to be like that. And when it's not, then they tend to, that tends to wreck their own relationship. And then they look for something better, or what they think is better out there. That's what I think the main problem is.
I think honor has a lot to do with it. It's a very honorless society that we live in. I think also sticking true to our community. I believe our community has always been maligned in America, and just not even just in America, but just blacks in general have been maligned. And for, going on decades, the black man is seen as a brute. He's seen as a criminal. He's seen as a sexual deviant. He's seen as anything negative that the media could always throw at us, and that kind of sticks to people, especially even in our community. You look at just how we are portrayed. When you look at the news, 9 times out of 10, if they don't show the criminal's face on the news, you know that the person is probably a white person. But if they show the criminal's face, it's going to be a black person. It's going to be a mugshot. It's not going to be a picture of him smiling with his family. They're going to dehumanize him. So the black image is dehumanized. And that shit falls on our shoes. Like, it's just like, well, if the media sees me as this, and then this society sees me as this, it kind of reflects on how we see ourselves, with that distrust and with that honorlessness. It's just something that we pick up from being members of a society where we aren't the dominant culture.
Right. So, in other words, when we see women on social media shaking their booties and being quote unquote whores, we tend to think all women are like that. Or if we watch a show like Insecure and we see Issa Rae cheating on her man.
Look at it. Then you also, I agree 100%. And then you have to look at it like, we grew up in a time where that didn't exist. So you got to look at it. When the internet came into prominence, maybe like 95, 96, 97, 98, anybody born in that time is pretty much an adult now. Mm-hmm. So they are looking at that like that's normal. That's normalcy. And in reality is, we have to look at it like this is not our reality. Because we grew up different. So the things that we grew up seeing, the images that we saw were, like the color purples where the Mister was a piece of shit, and we saw the old dogs and the doughboys. They was criminals. They was gun toting individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all that impact. And then you get the '70s culture where everybody wanted to sell heroin and be a pimp. That image kind of reflects on us, and it is built. It builds. It builds, and then you get to this total I don't even know the word. It's like a devaluing. You just look at hip hop. Like, who was the first female rapper that you remember? Like, the first female rapper I remember is probably the girls that were on Beat Street.
Mm-hmm.
Us girls. I remember they was just rapping. They were the first girls I saw rap. And then fast forward to 2017, you got Cardi B, who's like just a prostitute. Like, she's just basically a glamorized prostitute.
You basically believe it's you basically believe it's life imitating art as opposed to art imitating life. So people
Of
are,
course.
so men and women are.
And you believe, I just was going to ask a clarity question too. So you're saying that the distrust comes from us seeing the media display each other in a negative light. So now when we interact, we see each other in a negative light? I mean, because
it's a subconscious thing. It's subconscious. Like, you got to look at society as you know it through a child's eye. And then you got to step back and look at it. Like, you have to see how a child is viewing society and culture right now, and then you have to put
who's responsible for that?
Well, we aren't in control of the media. We aren't in control of what movies come out. We aren't in control of we aren't in control of what music is played on the radio.
But we are in control of society. So when that movie comes out, it's the fact that the people are reflecting the images that are being displayed on TV. So it is a case of life imitating art.
Jazz music is still being recorded. Nobody listens to that because it's not promoted. You know, movies like Thurgood Marshall are out, but Medea makes more money than that. So, you know, there's people that are still rapping like Talib Kweli and Mos Def, but that's not promoted. Those people that are in charge put those images out, and they say these are the popular images. There's a female rapper named Rhapsody, who is probably one of the best rappers rapping today in 2017, but she doesn't get the shine that Bodak Yellow gets, because Bodak Yellow serves a purpose. It serves a purpose of social engineering. It makes girls think that. I can
quote both of them. I mean, I think that just to capitalize on the point.
Like I told you, I'm not talking about you. I said
it's the parents. I think the parents have to have as much influence as the media. I can quote Cardi B right now. Lil, you can't fuck me. Like I can quote that, but I also can quote other things. Like I can quote this, book that I read or this article because I'm doing my dissertation on IPE. So I think if we're answering the question about the distrust, then what we're saying is that our parents are neglected.
Your parents don't have as much influence. Your parents don't have as much influence on you as your peer group. They never will. That's never been. And if that's
true,
never been
then the parent is not doing it. Then I would.
That's never been the reality.
The parent is not doing what they need to do if their peers are more influential. And I mean, in a stage of life, don't get me wrong, if we go through stages of life, but we fast forward it now to adulthood, I would think that's what when we speak of relationships, we're speaking of relationships in adulthood. I give merit to the point you're saying. I'm just adding to it, to the influence that media has. My family always had more influence. And other families, like when people think of, when you did this great thing, I want to thank my mom and my parents and, all of these people, and they may have a quote that they ended with, but I think essentially if that's the reason, then we're always going to be doomed, because for the next 100 or so years, because I don't see us being able to take over the mainstream media that's going to influence quote unquote relationships and different things like that. I just feel like that there's a way for parents to have a more salient.
I'm of the belief of a Marcus Garvey. I don't believe that black people in America have pretty much any future. Like I don't think America is the place for black people, because we're not in control. We're not allowed to be we're not allowed to set our own image. It's just too much. There's too many mountains to climb for our people to be successful here. You can get a group of our people that become what W.E.B. Du Bois wanted to call the talented 10th. But I mean, that's just 10% of the people. Like you have to get the whole. You have to get the 100% of the people. So if you have a decent family that tells you, go to college or start a business or do whatever positive things, you got 10 other broken homes. And that's just the reality. So like I had stated earlier, you have to look at the things that go on in society through the eyes of a child, because the child creates the whole human being. What I experienced as a child affects me to the day that they throw roses and dirt on my casket. So with your peer group, the peer group that you fall in line in high school or in junior high school, when your peers become more important than your parents and your family, is very important. It's more important than you can imagine. And for anybody to have grown up in the United States, and not to wholeheartedly believe that the friends that you have in the street and the friends that you congregated with in school didn't have more influence on you than your mom and your dad, even if you had both of them. Not to mention, if you're a boy and there's no father or there's no male in the house, there are millions of black boys that they're not interacting with men. And they get their socialization from the media. And the media affects who they think they are as men when they grow up.
And all I'm saying is that it's a thinking error. Okay, that's what I'm saying it all boils down to, because I believe that it's not the situation, it's the way you think about the situation. Okay, now I'm not denying that friends don't have influence. Okay, and we just disagree on the source of the distrust in these relationships. I'm agreeing with all of these things. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons that I haven't had children yet, is because I know what I'm up against, and I want to be in a place where I can influence my child just as much as Cardi B can. Because there's a reason that certain images are more influential than others. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason that that the Range Rover or other luxury cars don't have to promote themselves as much as other brands. You know what I'm saying? It's all about behavior. And that's why I've dedicated my life to studying it and to improving it. And I disagree with the point you made about the image that a person can make about themselves, or like how we're kind of doomed. You know, because even with us being doomed, there's still a best case scenario. And I feel like that if we operate in that, then we'll be doing a lot better. If you look at the strides we have made, like I said, it's still opportunities for us to be the first of these things, because this is quote unquote the solution. So I kind of think we know what the problem is. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I give merit to those things that you mentioned. I just don't give as much weight to it, because I know that I've been rapping hip hop since Thuggish Ruggish Bone. Like, I love rap music. I listen to hip hop on the way to church. Like, I love rap music. But Jay-Z had a verse where he said Scarface the movie did more than Scarface the rapper too. So it's all about influence and how you raise your child to do certain things. Now, certain things you can't protect your child from. I'm definitely agreeing with that. Some things are going to be biological as far as behavior is concerned. But the majority of the individuals that I see in the system, because I work here in Philly, two of the places I work at, high drug, high crime, I see that people not even putting forth effort. So it's not like it's a whole lot of prevention in place on anybody's part to make these things not happen. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like it's praised or whatever to have these situations. I mean, some parents prefer that the school or the media or that so-and-so raises their child, because you know what? They didn't want to have a child in the first place. A lot of people I meet, most of the people I know, don't have planned pregnancy. They got a bunch of kids, but none of them was planned. So with that, I think if we're going to look at it from that point, we got to start from the procreation rate. But again, I just think that it's thinking errors in conjunction with, some of the variables that you mentioned.
So that's like the line, like when a person says, life is only 10% what happens to you, like 90% how you react to it, how you respond to it. Like when you mentioned the thinking error.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because if I tell y'all some of the things I grew up with, I don't get me wrong, I had a perfect childhood, but I have addiction heavily in my family. I have people that have been incarcerated. Like, I've been exposed to all of those things. So I've been in the same situation that I grew up in a single parent home, quote unquote, until I moved with my grandparents. Like, I didn't grow up in a nuclear family. I didn't have a Rolls Royce waiting on me when I turned 16, but it was the way I thought about those realities. and and challenging my thoughts, because the way in any given situation, any person is gonna have an automatic thought. You know, the first thing that comes to their mind. I've just done a really good job of challenging that initial thought just to see if there's anything else that could come out of this situation, or any other way I can conceptualize it. You know what? To put me in a position to where I can make moves. You know what I'm saying? I definitely I still have to do that. In adulthood, when you get in negative situations or situations that you necessarily want to put yourself in, you got to kind of think about it a little bit differently. But I did want to like dig more into like the relationship aspect, as far as like the questions you had text me, Albert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is like question 1. Y'all got any more input on question 1? Because I think that's like interesting. Like where did the distrust stem from?
Well, I mean, I'll add that I think in terms of distrust, I think we just generally just live in a society where I think it's a tool to promote individualism. I think it permeates this idea of untrustworthiness of people in general, just permeates the society to the point where we often equate trustworthiness with how often or how much a person does what we want them to do. And in fact, a person may not do something that you want them to do. And then a lot of us, or we may be conditioned to think, oh, well, I can't trust them because they didn't do the thing that I wanted them to do. Well, in fact, there are some situations where the thing that you want that person to do might not even be in your best interest. But based on your current, because you might have a thinking error, like you mentioned, you may think that that's in your best interest, but it may not be. And I think a lot of times we're generally just conditioned a lot of times to be untrustworthy, where it's like, okay, like we may be in a relationship with a woman and she doesn't do what we want, and then we say, oh, well, I can't trust her. Or, you know, we kind of rationalize maybe getting out of the relationship because we may say, well, this is a sign, or this is a red flag. Mm-hmm. So maybe in the future I may not be able to trust her because these things are happening. She did this thing that I don't like, or she didn't do this. She didn't respond ideally to this given situation. So it's almost like we end up participating in some type of bias, or we're in a deficit orientation where we expect that the relationship's going to fail, and we respect that we won't be able to trust her. So the first time something happens that we don't like, then we say, oh, I can't trust her anyway. So let me kind of fall back a little bit.
All right, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Do you think that that stems from what Cam was saying, like society's image of us, or do you think that's from our own experience why there's a lack of trust between men and women in our community? Because I think it's a combination. Yeah, okay. I think it would be a combination of things. I know Cam, like, you know, mentioned the music. So I think that plays a part to it, because that's part of our cultural diet. I think our cultural diet shapes us and forms us in many ways. I mean, this Biggie line came into my head as soon as you asked that question. When, you know, Big says, you know, when I'm fucking off Jen, I'm invincible. Don't love no hoe. That's my principle. And, you know, there are thousands of lines like that, and that gets into our psyche. And that gets into, like, during your formative years as teenagers when you're coming up. And the teenagers today, they have a consistent diet of those types of ideas as well. And it's not just in the rap music. I mean, it's in the movies, in the television shows. Mm-hmm. Some might argue, I had this conversation with my students the other day, some might argue you can get that in church, or you can get that in the masjid, because we could say the Adam and Eve story does that too. Because the reality is, if you talk about, you know, the Adam and Eve story, you say, well, damn, like, it's all the woman's fault. Like, we was cool. We was chilling up in, look, I mean, I'm not fully familiar. I don't know all the details of the story, but so forgive me if I say something incorrect, but, you know, we chilling in the Garden of Eden, everything is good. And then this woman messes everything up for us. So some could make that argument that it's like this consistent, like, kind of idea. And I think it's a very westernized, like, Eurocentric way of thinking that, you know, pushes us in this direction and gets us to think that way, where,
you know, we can't, as men, we're not supposed to trust women really. We're almost supposed to like objectify and like possess women and own women. And then the sisters just, I guess as a defense mechanism, they just try to protect themselves and just they have a lack of trust for us too. So I think there's just some very fundamental issues within the society and within the culture of the prevailing culture within this society that we have to attack in order to get over that.
Right. And see, what I think the issue stems from is in the very beginning of the meeting process, the getting to know each other process, where we have our wires crossed from that perspective. Like a man is coming to get sex. A woman initially is looking for a husband. So I've been told, like, you know, they size the dude up and say, oh, that's why some women just seem to be gold diggers in the beginning, because it's like if a dude got a fancy car and he dressed nice, he's more attractive because they're thinking long term, he got money, he could take care of me. So the wires are crossed in the beginning stages, because I'm not coming to take care of you. I don't care about your degrees. I don't care about your history. I'm just coming. I like the way you look in that dress. I'm trying to take you home real quick. And then the game begins. It's like, for a man, how can I get sex by doing the least amount of work possible? And the woman is saying, how can I get more out of him before I give him sex? And somehow the two wind up locked into a relationship that neither one of them really wants to be in, because a relationship shouldn't be this difficult. Like, yo, I like you, you like me, cool, we together. It's simple. I mean, the process of getting to know each other should be just that. So I should be able to date this one, and this one, and this one, and she should too. But the problem is, a lot of times we lock each other into these pseudo relationships, and then in order to not hurt the other person's feelings, you dip off and you do your thing on the sneak. And then that person's doing it on the sneak. And then you both cheating on each other for no reason. And when you could just have a grown-up conversation from the beginning. Like, because the whole relationship is based on lust. Somehow you got to turn that lust into love. And that only happens when you get to know the person. Now,
you think it's always based on lust?
Well, unless you work with a woman.
It's never based on something more wholesome?
Nah, because unless you work with a woman or you live around the neighborhood, then it's only because, damn, she got a fat ass and yo, I'm trying to get that. That's usually your driving force.
Not in America. I think in the other societies, it's probably based on betterment of the tribe, or the betterment of the race, or the betterment of the social group. You know, with the Indians, they do the arranged marriages, and Africa, where they do the listen, I'm gonna give you. They don't do this now in Africa, but I'm just saying historically, where they say, I'll give you 10 goats and some cows for your daughter. You know, it's business.
Well, yeah, a lot of societies outside of America eliminate the lustful part of it. So it's either family based or it's love based, but the lust is an afterthought, or it's not even a thought.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think that the lust part, the lust aspect is real, and it's a genuine part of the conversation, because we need to have that physical attraction in order so that we can procreate, so that we can want to you know, have intercourse and procreate to, you know, continue humanity.
Yeah, but you don't let the lust. You don't
like
let
how.
Hold on.
I don't know if we could quantify it, but like, how important is the lust factor versus let's try to get to know each other on a personal level?
50%. I would say it's more than 50%.
I think age is relevant. I think age is also relevant though, and you know, like the mindset that a person is in, and like, you know, Albert kind of said in the beginning, the purpose. Like, now dating at my age now, I'm dating for a lot more, you know, different reasons than I was in, you know, like 10 years ago, let's say. I mean, I've always kind of had the purpose of pursuing something long term. Like, I've never just, you know, really had a phase where it was just like, I just want to, you know, turn up and be promiscuous, because I felt like that is always an option. You know what I'm saying? When you know something is easily accessible and always an option, you don't really, well, I don't personally, you know, work towards that so much. But I think age is really, really relevant. But one of the struggles that I find now coming into play is that it seems that, you know, it's okay for the man to have that mindset that Albert mentioned. And so now it's like it's little effort that's put into really portray anything other than that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at nobody because that's how it exists. But a lot of these guys, you know, and I spoke with a couple of my girlfriends before I got, you know, on tonight. But I mean, even outside of that, you know, like in my therapy world, like, as far as career, I meet a lot of people, and it's just like, you know, before, I mean, you know, if you even look at the music, I mean, back in the day, like, it was like a love story. It was like a song. It was like, I want some pussy, but I'm going to say, hey there, lady, butterfly, honey nut Cheerios. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, bust that pussy open, bitch. And everybody don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying?
Can I explain that?
Like now,
can I explain that real quick?
People not even masking the approach.
Hold on, let me explain that. See, I had this thing growing up where I was in love with Claire Huxtable, right? And yeah, growing up, it was like, okay, I want that when I get of age, right? So I was more of a what some of these guys say, call them simps. Like I was really a yes man for the women I was with. Like, yeah, sure, babe, whatever, babe, I got you, babe. I'm just trying to be a pleaser. Cause I think at the end of the day, she was going to be my Claire Huxtable. And I think most of the times men are disappointed because you have a high expectation, probably because of the images that we grew up looking at. Like, women can't do any wrong. Women don't cheat, and women are wholesome and good. Nah, but your reality shows you something different. It's like, oh, I didn't know. Hold on, Ken. I didn't know women cheated on you for no reason. Like, if you're not cheating and you doing everything she requires of a man, and guess what? You could still get cheated on. See, I wasn't hip to that part when I was a young boy.
You can, but is that common? Is that common enough to is that common?
Obviously, for rappers to make a song like "Bitches Ain't Shit But Hoes and Tricks," obviously, yeah, it's going down. You get cheated on for no reason, and men know this. So men have to divest a lot of the hold on, let me finish. Men have to divest a lot of feelings on purpose. Like, all right, I don't want to get my feelings hurt, so I gotta kind of treat her like she's less than, or she's, you know, I'm not taking her personal. This is what we used to say to our peer group. Like, no, I ain't taking that bitch personal. That's just my. But meanwhile, you are, and in your private moments, you in love with her. But you got to convince yourself, and you got to convince your friends that you're not taking her personal, because at the end of the day, she's not Claire Huxtable. At the end of the day, for all your simping and all your yes ma'am, whatever, babe, I got you, babe, yo, that don't mean nothing to her. Because what's on her mind is something superficial. Her mind is like, she trying to get bigger and better than you. She ain't trying to stick there and work nothing out and build with you. The next guy, he already got his life together. You working on your life, so I'm out. And again, going back to Cam's point about media and stuff, it's like when you look at Insecure, that's exactly what Issa did to her boyfriend. Man, he going through something, and she's like, I don't want to be here. So it's not really about love, it's about something else. And Issa is in the show, Issa wasn't honest about what she really wanted. And a lot of times in real life, that's what happens. That's why I sit, but like sometimes you might read my posts on Facebook, because what really drives me to make some of my comments is when I read women's comments about how ain't no good men out here, and how men be on some nut shit and this and that, and we fuck boys and this. And it's like, no, that's y'all doing the dumb shit. because we can have a grown-up conversation. Like, look, right now,
can we come up with a healthy medium and say that it's both? Because there's a lot of variables that play a role in people's realities. It's not just black and white. Like, can we say that both parties probably have some contributing factors to why it is what it is? Because I think if everybody wants reciprocation, we'll be in a better space. Because that's what I quantified my listening to saying. I want reciprocation. So I don't want anything that I'm not given. So this taking care of thing, if I'm taking care of you, you damn right I want you to take care of me. And so you're right. So I mean, I just think that if we can look at reciprocation, it makes it easier, because then you can look at what can this person offer. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, and superficial as that may be, I mean, like, we live in American society, so you know it's American society, so that you can read between the lines on what that means.
Okay, well, before we get to reciprocating, we have to understand that I just want to have sex right now. I'm not really into a relationship type of thing. I just want to, you know, have sex and have fun.
You want to see some ass? I want to see some cash. Keep them dollars coming. Hey, that's that mindset. So if a dude just wants some pussy or some ass, he needs to go find that kind of girl, because then it's an even exchange. It's reciprocation. She wants the cash, you want the pussy. Let's roll. Let's meet. Let's end it now.
No, but see,
so hold on. But you're saying that as if women don't want sex either.
That is true.
Some don't.
Come on.
Don't.
Some don't. Women enjoy sex.
Women
enjoy sex more than men.
Okay.
But Ruby, what I was trying to say was that, in a sense, now you got to follow me on this. Women force men to cheat, because we can't say we want sex and that's it. Because that might be what I want right now, and you might be a real good chick, but right now I just want some sex. But maybe as I get to know you, maybe I want more than sex. But it's like, no, right now you got to be my boyfriend. The moment I stick it in you, I'm locked in. So that's the gamble we got to take, because you might not be.
Now, let me ask you, which kind of woman is that as soon as y'all smash, you locked in? Is this the Claire Huxtable or the Cardi B? Which one is that?
Well,
or is that all women? Or you?
In my opinion, that's all women, because I done mess with all kinds of chicks, and a lot of times that has been the result.
That they want you to be their boyfriend after sex.
That's what they say.
Okay.
And then I'm dumb enough to believe it. Like, oh, okay, all right. Then they want you to put your toys away. So, all right, now you can't see. Why you got these girls on your phone, this and that. So you put all your toys away. Okay, and then you find out you're getting cheated on or some corny shit. Or I can't front. Like, I can catch everybody cheating. What I'm saying is they do something suspect, you know, and then you're disappointed because she not about me. Like,
can you give an example of suspect? Because that goes back to Akil's thing before, where he said that with the distrust question, where he kind of highlighted the expectation or like the behavior that, oh, she didn't do what I said, so now I'm suspicious. Like, so your comment kind of brought what he said to life. So I'm not saying you have to give a personal example, but can you give an example of the quote unquote said behavior that kind of had you side-eyeing?
Well, I'm just saying, basically, she wasn't honest. Like, it could be something like, all right, so my thing back in the day was, how many dudes you been with, right? And
oh God, so, you was one of those.
So, yeah. So it's like, I've been with 4 dudes, and you're like, okay. Then as the months go by, we had these conversations, pillow talking, and then Ralph, Johnny, James, Jerome, that's 4, and I'm number 5. You said you ain't been with 4 dudes. So put a little.
At what age was that important?
When I was a young boy,
okay.
Teenager, teenage, early 20s and shit. Because that's when I thought women were good, clean, and wholesome. That was before I knew the dirty side of the game. That y'all just as ratchet as men. So it's like, why are we doing all this courting? Why are we doing all this courting?
Savage.
Huh?
Rihanna said that they tell you that I was a savage.
Yo,
but it's all relative, because like Cam mentioned, like the reasons for marriage and dating, like it's no longer like it was. Like my grandmother was 15 years old when she got married. My mother was, you know, when she got married to my father, was in her 20s. So I mean, and I'm, you know, 32. I'm not married, so I think like the whole dating thing, it makes behavior different. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't getting proposed to anymore, so that monogamy isn't able to be there. I mean, to highlight on all y'all points, because like you said, Albert, people are getting together just because of ABC, and now they're in this relationship that they don't even really want to be in just because of ABC. So I think that, I mean, like, it's a puzzle. Like this whole situation is like a puzzle, and like all of the pieces are so very relevant. It's just when I say things, I try to more so highlight what's going to be true for like the general bunch. And I do know that when I first started dating, I thought every guy that I dated was potentially going to be, you know, my husband. Like, I mean, but that's puppy love. Like you said, when you was a young boy, how many people you slept with? I mean, you know, like J. Cole said, you know, she said she only fucked about 4 or 5 niggas, so, you know, you got to multiply by 3. So, I mean, I think we know that women have to, we feel like we have to paint this bitch. I'm going to say we, even though I'm very honest about things, you know, for the most part. I mean, we all got something we not going to tell. But I think that we have to paint this picture, because it's like, if you don't, since you put me in the block where I got to say a number, now I'm going to say the number that's close to what I think you're going to approve of, because at the end of the day, if I want you, I'm going to do what I got to do to get you. The same thing when you said you see that girl in that dress and you want to sleep with her, you know, everybody's doing this mating dance or this checkers, chess, whatever game to try to get the goal that they want. So if my goal is to get you to accept me, then I'm a lie. I mean, I think have y'all ever lied before to get somebody?
Of course.
No,
it's
not
the name
me.
Of the game.
I don't, shit. Take me or love me or leave me. That's how I feel.
Nah, and I think I've missed out on a lot of opportunities for being honest and
yeah.
I think about
I don't like the truth. The truth always come out.
Yeah.
But see, my lies aren't really like,
Can I
guess when I'm saying when I'm saying my rap and I got to do what I got to do, meaning sometimes I may lead you to believe I like you more than I do, just to get you to open up. Cause I need to see that you, especially after I got my feelings hurt. So I definitely had to you know, pour it on a little thicker, just so you can open up. And I want to see how you would take advantage of a person like me, because I'm open-hearted. So I played a role, like this is how I'm going to be once I fall in love, but I got my feelings in check right now, because I know through to my experience and what I'm seeing my homies go through, that yeah, women are slimy and they will, you know, take advantage, especially if you open-hearted. And it took me until I was in my 40s to realize, like, damn, you really have to be an asshole to women for women to really respect you. Like, because kindness is like weakness to the black woman. Like, damn, I can't even be nice. Like, damn, I really got to be an asshole. So when I say, excuse me, miss, can I talk to you for a minute? And you look me up and down like, what? Yeah. Then I got to say, bitch, fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And like, and
then they turn around. And
yeah, then you respect that.
Wrong woman.
Can we add another variable? Can we add another variable besides black women? Can we say, like, I mean, because I don't know if that's like over the United States or if that's in certain areas. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, I mean, because in the South, I ain't even got to know you for you to speak. Like, they make jokes about that. We always smiling. We gonna say hey if we don't even know you. So let's put in the appropriate variables so the listeners don't think Albert is essentially saying that black women only respond to. I mean, or is that what Albert is saying?
No. Well, listen, what I'm saying is this: black women overall, this is coast to coast, respond to bullshit more than they respond to just a nice, humble guy trying to get to know you. So whether it be disrespect that floats your boat, or it be flash that floats your boat, or it be the sexual prowess that floats your boat. Like if I come in and say, yo, I'm gonna rock your world, Ruby, I'm saying you might as well give me. If I got that kind of game, whatever it is bullshit. It's something extra that gotta get your attention instead of just a nice humble dude just saying, you know, I'm trying, let me buy you a drink, let me get to know you a little bit.
If I say no, thank you, is that okay, or would
that's
you still gonna be like, black women don't want a good man?
Hey man, as long as all I care about is the kindness. Yo, I'm coming at you kind like a gentleman, and you don't want to be bothered, just be nice back. I don't have no problem.
Okay, I could do that, because I will say,
I see my
finished last slogan, because I don't think that's true. I think if a girl curve you like that, most of the time it's because she thinks you're unattractive. And I mean, everybody not gonna be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if a guy, people be like, oh, I know you met a lot of nice guys, so-and-so try to talk to you, so-and-so try to talk to you. There was no chemistry between me and so-and-so. There's no attraction there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was Akil that said about the procreation and stuff like that. You want to be able to procreate, and you don't have to be gorgeous or anything. I mean, like, it has to be some attraction there. And I think that when guys shoot their shot and a girl isn't like receiving it, then they kind of group all women in that. It's just, no, like, I'm not physically attracted to you. So anything you say is not going to be well received. I'm not going to giggle when you say, why don't you just smile, cutie? I'm going to just say thanks. But if I'm attracted to you and a little chemistry, then I might be like, all right, since you said, I'm going to say something to get the ball rolling. So I think that's relevant, is attraction when but you kind of made it easy for me. You said, as long as it's nice back, you good.
Yeah,
I agree.
And plus, I'm attractive though. So I know it's something.
I was just saying in general.
Huh? No, I'm saying, like, for me, I know it's something more, you know, because I don't know. I'm just not really into the game anymore. I'm really too old for it to really be coming up with clever lines and trying to make you laugh and all that corny shit. I'm just not. Yo, let's just. And besides, for what? You not Claire Huxtable. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I win, and I get you in the sack. That's it. That's all. That's my prize right there. Because you ain't gonna, like, a lot of women, especially in your age group, Ruby, like, y'all make y'all money, and that shit is y'all's money, right? Y'all not like, yo, I'm a dust your coat off. Here, go, you know, go to school. It's on me. I'm gonna build my man up. No, y'all not really on the help out. You know what I mean? It's a different day. And I get it. A lot of women put their heart out there and got it broken, and dudes and took advantage, you know, took girls' cars and crashed it.
That's not me. That woman you just described, I'm getting my money, I'm getting these degrees, but that's not me. I am a helper. You know, my thing
but is, that's you. You're not part of the majority. You're probably the minority. These women are getting their shit together, getting their own homes and getting their shit together, and they leaving men in the dust. And that's cool.
That's by design, though, Al.
Huh?
I said that's by design. That's by design, man. That's not, you know, I mean, like we was talking the other day about it. Like, how many people do you know, how many black women do you know that got master's degrees and their brothers is sitting in jail, or their brothers is a janitor? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's by design. I know plenty of women who got master's degrees and their brothers, same mom, same dad, is just working dead-end jobs. You know what I'm saying? That's by design. A black woman is placed in this position in our society. I mean, to get these things so that our family is split. Like, if a woman gets a master's degree, he's not necessarily going to be looking at a brother that's a trash man, or you know, somebody that's driving a tow truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just set up that way.
I would.
But again, Ruby,
my man just said you're the minority.
You're the minority.
But most see, like, when you look at the other cultures, like for I would say for at least a century, it's pretty much known that white women, a lot of white women, I ain't gonna say all of them, a lot of white women go to college and they sole purpose is to get a man, like, because that's where the men are, that's where the eligible men are, that's where they can get a man and making something out of themselves. 9 times out of 10, unless you're at an HBCU, you're not gonna find a lot of black men at regular universities.
Why is that?
I mean, it's just the way this society is set up. Our society isn't set up to push black men to do these things. Like, it's just, I mean, it just is.
Wow. Wow.
I mean,
you think it's set up for black women too? I think we.
I mean, the facts are the facts. I mean, look at it. Like, I mean, the facts are the facts. I mean, I went to college. I mean, I'm not speaking from something that I'm just pulling out of my back pocket. I went to a state college. I didn't go to an HBCU. And I know that black men there were the minority. We were the supreme minority. It was more Asians and whites and Indians and black women there than black men. Black men were the lowest number of people or demographic. And I'm sure they are at all colleges except for the black ones. Because they're so...
Figure out why is that? Like, for y'all listen on the phone, so you went to college, like, I want to know, like, Akil went to college. Albert, did you go to college? If not, why not?
Well, I made an attempt. I made an attempt a few times, but I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't finish.
Even try to get all the reasons why black men aren't in college. I mean, we had to be on the phone for 3 hours. Like, there's so many.
I just wanted to keep it small because you mentioned your experience. So I was just trying to see, like, if we could just get a poll with, just the participants that are here, because I would say it boils down to a choice. Because, see, before, none of us could learn. And I say us because, like, we are together. Like, we are the same kind of realities. I mean, you had mentioned before, like on the previous podcast, y'all have a greater likelihood of being able to go home with somebody outside of the race. And Cam, I think it was you that mentioned a white man can't take me home. So with that being said, I feel like that that we both live in a society in which we are, insert adjective here, if you want to say, verb, if you want to say oppressed or whatever word you want to say, that we are stereotyped or whatever. But I think that it boils down to choice, and this is where the accountability comes in at, because I look at my background, people's background that, kind of chose the same things that I did, and it boils down to choice. I agree that society.
But you have a habit of saying, I look at myself. The average black person is not yourself and not your situation. Like,
but we all said I said this on this podcast though, so like that's relevant.
I'm speaking. When I speak, I'm speaking for all my people. Like I'm speaking for the black race. Like when you hear me speak, I'm speaking for us as a cohesive unit. Now,
skewed though. Even with that, it's still skewed. Your thought is skewed though. Still, like I bet you most of the people.
I agree. My thought could be skewed, but I look at the situation that. The black male, like I said, this could take 3 hours. The black male is dealing with so much more in this reality than anybody else in this country. We are being shot in the back. We are being arrested and convicted for crimes that other people don't even get arrested for. It's just so many factors. Like, I mean, I could flip a coin and pick a factor that keeps black men out of college. Like, I mean, it's just, it's the money. It's the fact that I don't know if I'm going to pay back these loans. It's the reality that you're in. You don't see people like you doing those things. And that's that weighs heavily on black youth. When I come out my house, what do I see the people who are 5 and 6 years older than me doing? And that affects what I want to do 5 to 6 years from now. Mm. But if I'm a woman and my mom is AKA and my mom is Sigma Gamma Rho and my grandmom is Delta Theta Theta, then I'm going to be that. I want to be that because I see it. Theta. whatever, man. Listen, that makes the child want to become that. But if the people that I look up to are hustlers, if the people that I look up to are, I don't know, anything.
You're being a little too broad, because none of my, I didn't grow up like that. I'm a Delta. None of my parents have a doctorate. My father is in recovery from drug addiction. He lives in Illinois now. You know, my mother just graduated with, like, so I think that when you make these statements as accurate as they are for some, I don't think that this is the majority, because again, it all boils down to
it is the majority. Are the majority of blacks in college? Are the majority of black graduates from high schools in the United States?
You don't have to go to college, like you said.
Yes,
you don't have to go to college to have a
yes,
positive. To have a positive
yes,
reality. I know individuals that are trashmen that make it work. That's for the city. You're making good money. I know firefighters. I know cops. I know sheriffs. All of these people don't have degrees, but they have employment. I know a person that owns a tow truck company, clothing lines. Like, I'm quantifying
Ruby, let me ask you
being
this,
an independent person that can survive in society. I'm not saying you have to have a degree to be that.
Let me ask you this, though. If a woman is degreed up, right, is she more likely to date a trash man or a cop or something like that? Or is she waiting for, the special guy? Because when you don't have whatever it is she's looking for, then she's not even open to exploring other alternatives. Like, he got to be tall, dark, and handsome before he can even say anything to me. So we need
to do a study. We need to do a study.
I've done the study. That's why I'm saying it.
You got the proof.
I have the proof.
Going forward though,
because I actually crack on women. You don't.
A lot more healthy, and a lot more solution focused. If we could really put some of this stuff in context, because like, let's say that everything we're saying, like, let's say that truly the percentage of people I speak for is 20%. Then Cam's speaking for 35 to 40%. Now, we're touching a whole big pool of people. So I don't think we should minimize my perspective or anybody's perspective. Just know that it's not the perspective. And sometimes I feel like some of the comments come off really strong, because at the end of the day, like I said, it boils down to choice. Like, because my childhood may not have been different from either of y'all's childhood, but our present day reality is different. And then it's like, to me, that mindset is what's debilitating. Because if I had the mindset that, no matter what I do, it's not going to be enough, or that this is this. I mean, and I exist with these realities. You know what I'm saying? I exist with a reality of knowing that this is what's waiting for me. This is what, if I have a child, this is what my child is going to be born into. Like I said, it boils down to reciprocation. Most women that I know, like, I guarantee you, if we look at people, quote unquote, that we call successful, and you really ask them and you poll them, this is not going to be what's consistent. What's going to be is that, he got to have a degree, he got to do this, he got to do that. You know what I'm saying? No, it's just that he needs to be able to reciprocate what I can, and he needs to be attractive. And I think that's what it boils down to, because I think the dudes that look good, that, you know what I'm saying, can reciprocate, that's another reason there's a lot of cheating going on here, because it's not a lot of dudes that, are on the same mindset as the woman. And that's what it boils down to, is mindset. Imagine raising a child in a household with a mother that, has these quote unquote degrees and feel like, we can make it, we can do it. You know what I'm saying? I made a boom, boom, boom this year. I'm about to donate this to this cause, to that cause. We about to build this community center. But then I got this dude that always sees the glass half empty. Oh, honey, I don't know why you starting that nonprofit, because you already know that if you put it in this neighborhood, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And that's what really kind of keeps me away from people, is because I have dreams. I'm dream chasing. And I may not be as rich as Meek or Nikki or any of those kind of people, but I am going to be somebody. You're going to be to read about me in Essence and Jet, and I'm going to be doing things on more probably the local level. And so with that mindset, I need a man that also has that mindset. And it's not going to be constantly reminding me of the fact that you're a black woman. When you was doing your speech, they was like, you Dr. Pooh, but you really probably ain't did this, you really probably ain't did that. All of those things are relevant, but how healthy, like I mentioned before, how healthy is it for me to always consider these things with the reality I'm trying to build? And I'll stop with this. My thought process has gotten me every goal I've set out for thus far. The only thing I'm waiting to secure is a family. Everything else, you know what I'm saying, my mindset has allowed me to achieve, even though it didn't seem possible. So I will add that. It didn't seem realistic because, Cam, I didn't have the example. My mother wasn't a clinical psychologist. My father wasn't a surgeon. I didn't grow up with those things. I grew up having everything, but it wasn't the way that I'm going to be able to provide it to my children. So I'm going to close on that.
All right, I just did a search online while you were talking. It says 33% of black African American high school graduates attend college. Out of that 33%, 67% are female. 33%, and that was as of 2015.
This degrees, right?
No, go 2 years. Go 2 years into college. Go 2 years into college. 33%.
Okay.
So I mean, and 66% of that is female. So these are statistics that are hard and real and factual. So I mean, it must be something that is keeping us out of college for one, and keeping our men also out of college. I mean, it's more than half of the percentage.
All right, let me ask you this: if black men went to college more, would that be a solution to the problem of black men and black women not getting married? Because
probably would. It probably would because I mean, Ruby just said that she has secured everything except her family. So let's just say Ruby was a Caucasian, right? And she had all of her degrees or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you think that she would be unmarried? She would probably have her equal sitting right next to her, right? Somebody she could relate to. Somebody who, oh yeah, I summered in Lake Superior too. And yeah, my family goes to Guadalupe, somebody she could relate to.
But we all come from the same place at the beginning of the day. So we can all relate to that, to our humble beginnings. So my question is, why does it matter your stature? If you see somebody, I don't know, in passing, why does it matter what they do for a living when we're just getting to know each other? Like, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, our wires are crossed in the very, very beginning. Like, if we could come to some type of, equal ground in the beginning, like, while we're getting to know each other, women shouldn't be trying to tie men down. Men should be able to do and investigate all avenues, and so should women. Because a lot of people are saying, people, everybody ain't for everybody. So people like what they like, and that's cool. And I'm not trying to, crowbar relationships together, because that's not healthy for anybody. But what I'm saying is this: the selection process, especially for women, has to be a lot more meaningful. Because I see a lot of women at the end of the day, they get with a dude, or they was with somebody like me, and then they get with a dude, and that dude play them. And then they want to bitch and complain. But why you with him in the first place? He gave you all the clues he wasn't shit. Unless that's ultimately what y'all want, is a dude who ain't shit. So maybe, I don't know. Because I see women have everything, just like Ruby was saying. They have everything except the husband and the family. And then there's guys out here who want to be married. It's guys out here who come from the family life and want the family life, but can't find a woman. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's because I don't know, we ain't got our money up or whatever. But then again, if I get my money up, why do I want you? Because you're not Claire Huxtable. So it's like this round robin that we keep. We're never going to satisfy each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's.
But I mean, you know, what's the name said it? John Henrik Clarke said it at the end of his book about Christopher Columbus. I mean, I said it before. Black people put on these suits and ties before they put on their work clothes. We never spent time building anything. Our dream is essentially a European's dream in America. Like, you know, but we don't have the same experience as the European. It's pretty much as simple as that. Our experience is 180 degrees different from the Caucasians that came over here and tried to build something. When they was coming over here, they was building stuff. When the Europeans were coming over here for Ellis Island, we was running through the woods trying not to get lynched. You know, we was trying to get to Chicago, and we was trying to get to New York and Philadelphia. We was stuck on Tobacco Road somewhere. And
Cam, I want to ask a question. I just want to ask you real quick. Do you think, do you feel that we all should be on the same page with things, or do you feel like how it is in Africa, like different countries, you know, have different customs or things that they hold here? Americans, when Americans come to dating, like, can you respect somebody that wants this and views things like this if it's not like toxic? So, like, you know, you and I want different things as far as the relationship is concerned from my interpretation thus far at this point. But let me ask you, are you able to give merit to my reality even though it's different, or do you discount it because it doesn't align with what you think?
Listen, I don't discount anybody's reality. But if the reality is flawed, it needs to be spoken about and it needs to be changed. Now, you had this disconnect. I just explained to you that 66% of black women are in college. 30% of black men are in college. So there's a disconnect right there. And as you continually increase in your degrees and in your level of education, your pool of men that you can relate to as opposed to your race is dwindling very fast. So that's by design. Like, there was no building period for us. We decided that we wanted to be what Europeans were. You know, we wanted to integrate into their schools, and we wanted to go to their colleges. When we had our own college, we didn't want to build our farms. We wanted to come.
That's
to the
what
city.
You did, right? Because you didn't go to HBCU. I did, so that's what you did, correct?
Yeah, I went to because I stayed in Philadelphia. So I didn't.
And so were you born?
If I lived in Atlanta, if I lived in Charlotte somewhere, if I lived in a place that was very close to me, that had an HBCU, I would have went there. But there are no HBCUs in Philadelphia.
Oh, you could have went to Cheney or Lincoln.
Oh, you
I know, but I didn't want to commute. I didn't want to commute all the way. That's too
so
far.
Here again, you made a choice. And I'm not mad at you for the choice you made. I'm just saying, and let me highlight again, because I think maybe it got lost in the sauce. I do not require my mate or my lover to have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I don't require them to be a psychologist, gynecologist, engineer at the doctor level. I don't require any of those things. And the majority of women that I know, which, you know, the older I get, and I want to take into context too, like, a lot of women are single, but I mean, we're at the age in my group, you know, where a lot of us are getting married. And where I say my group, meaning since I am in a sorority, and you can look up the numbers for our, you know, organization as well. Like, I'm connected to a lot of people that I don't, quote unquote, know directly. So with that being said, we're at the age where we are getting married, and most of the women that I know, they don't have this requirement. It's just more so the mindset. I don't want to be reduced or have it minimized because I chose what I chose. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear the heat. So a person that I feel like is going to belittle me because of the education choices that I chose.
What you're doing is not being minimalized. It's just like it's a harsh reality. Like, and a lot of our people can't accept harsh reality. They like to go into their own cave, and they like to go into their own reality and stay there. But it's a harsh reality, and it's not a personal jab. It's a stated fact that if I go to Harvard or I go to Columbia, there's not going to be a lot of black women there. It's just not. The majority of women that I'm going to find at one of those universities are going to be an Asian woman or a Caucasian woman. So I'm already, if in my mind, I want a woman with the same education level, the same economic capacity, earning capacity, I'm limiting myself by continuing to look for a mate in those halls with that same type of education. I'm limiting myself with the women in my race. As with a black woman looking for a black man at one of those schools, if they're saying, hey, I want a man that's equal to me, that's a black man, that's going to be making the same money as me, I think what I'm saying is pretty clear. Like, if you're going to continue to, your dating pool is dwindling if you're trying to meet your match at these levels. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not lambasting you for personally getting a doctorate degree. God bless you. Do it again. Get another doctorate degree. But you have to have the hard reality put into your face that if you're going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's not going to be too many men, black men, that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're going to be able to meet you equally at that table. It's just not the reality. And it's not something that you should be upset about. It's just something that is beyond our control, as opposed to, like I stated earlier, because I always speak in cyclical form. We have to become something other than the quote unquote African American. We have to go somewhere else out of this construct and create our own. We have to do it.
Why can't we do it here?
That's the only way that our race is going to be successful.
Why can't we do it here?
Because there are too many things against us. Look at Black Wall Street. Perfect example is Black Wall Street. You had 3 cities in the South, 2 in the South, 1 in Oklahoma, that were destroyed because black people wanted their own shit.
Yeah, but that was 100 years ago, and and we should learn from our mistakes and be well prepared for a situation like that. But yo, let me play something for you real fast, and then y'all could comment on it.
Destroyed our women. Degrees, because what degrees did was give this black woman so much power in society that she thinks, and she doesn't see the big picture. She's caught up in titles and position, while the brothers are thinking practical and thinking about this paper, power, and property. They're not thinking about that. They won't.
What y'all think about that?
I need some context. What's the context of that?
He said that degrees are destroying relationships because degrees give women so much power that they're not thinking rational like the brothers. They thinking about stature and stuff like that. So he thinks that the more black women go to school and get educated, the less likely they're willing to date someone who is not as educated.
Well, I mean, I think definitely what happens is it gives women, college degrees do give women more economic empowerment. So, I mean, that changes the whole dating dynamic. Whereas in the past, we talked about this on the last episode, that in the past, whereas a woman, based on the contours and the structure of the society, a woman may have needed a man more just for basic existence, basic economic viability. Now, with the college degree, she doesn't need a man for that. So that really just, I mean, it just changes the game. So, and I think that maybe we're just experiencing some growing pains in terms of how we as men adjust to that. So maybe like in some cases, some of us, whereas like in the past, a brother, if he was a breadwinner and he could put food on the table, that might have been enough for him to secure and, get into a relationship with a decent sister. But now the sisters are like, well, I don't need you to be the breadwinner. So now what are you going to bring to the table? Now maybe
but the question,
like a lot of us.
But Akil, let me ask you this: what else do women want you to bring to the table? Because I feel like I have a lot. I have a lot.
Well, I think there's security, but then security is a broad term. Because security can be they can be financial security, as we already were addressing. But then there's emotional security. There may be physical security. There's, if you don't know, man, that's gonna be a pussy. You know what I'm saying? You want to be out with him. He gonna protect you. You know what I'm saying? If something goes down, there may be spiritual security. Just different types of securities. Whereas maybe like I said, in certain situations in the past, maybe like, a brother is like, listen, I get money and that's enough. You know what I'm saying? Whereas now, like, okay, bro, I don't need your money. Like, so now the other things become more important. So like, and I guess maybe like we have to figure out ways to, adjust to that change. Personality wise, but I mean, that's just one dynamic. I mean, money is just one dynamic.
Well, it seems to me that money is all that matters. If money is paramount, I ain't gonna say it's all that matters. I'm gonna say it's paramount. Like, this is my personal theory. Okay, I think the black woman would be satisfied no matter what he looks like if other women found him attractive. If other women were clawing at him, then she feel like she got a winner. And I think that is the major problem why men and women can't get together. And it goes back to what Cam was saying about how media kind of dictates. Because what we see on TV, right, if it's mirrored in life, in real life, then more likely than not, I would say women would want that. They want that guy because he looks like the guy on TV or he acts like the guy on TV. You understand? And like the Idris Elba phenomenon, like when he's DJ, whatever the fuck he was in England, I'm sure women wasn't really checking for him. But then he get that role, Stringer Bell, and next thing you know, he's the man. And the same with it's some other dudes. They got the same type. One day they just regular. Oh, Papoose. That's when Remy come home from jail, right? And I think they filmed the first episode of Love and Hip Hop New York. I don't watch the show. I'm just going by what I'm hearing. Papoose must have did something because on my timeline, all I saw was, oh, I need a dude like Papoose. Yo, he a real man. This and that. Right. When I said Papoose is on every block in the hood, he everywhere. I said the only difference between Papoose and everybody else is Papoose got with a woman who recognized how good he was, and she got him. Because Remy could have been stuck up like the rest of these chicks and said, nah, Papoose, he's like a C-level MC. I'm going to go get Nas. I'm going to go get Hov. I'm going to go get Fat Joe. She could have been on that tip, but you know what she did? She loved the man who loves her. And I think that's a major problem in our community from the perspective of black women. They just don't love the man who loves them. And that's why, and I ain't going to make it just a gender thing, because I think men do the same thing. You know, if we got a good looking chick that we can show off to our friends, we're more likely to keep her than keep There's other John who really loves us. So it's the superficial nonsense that I think that's the problem. Now, the solution to that problem will have to be just opening our hearts and our minds and really search for love. Who's going to love me the way I deserve to be loved, and who I can be open-hearted with? Like, who can I love open-heartedly that's not going to take advantage of me? And I think that would solve the problem, and that would eliminate the distrust. So,
well, I overall feel like you had some decent points, but I disagree with like the way that the black woman is overall like described, as far as the way that you kind of described us. But you did reel it back in to say that men do that too, as far as being attracted to somebody. The thing that I'm most happy about is that there's a variety of people in all of this world. And with that variety, we can pick and choose what we like and who we like. Albert, I've seen you post, like you said, the Idris Elba phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of those things are true and relative. And I mean, I think he's attractive. You think the girl from Basketball Wives is attractive. You post her, and I don't think there's anything wrong with people.
Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Hip Hop of Atlanta. Okay, one of those shows. Portia. I think that's fine. I think that we can. I think that it's human. We're the higher order species, and so we can do all of these things and still do other things. So I can think Idris Elba is attractive and still date a guy that looks like Stephon Urkel. You know what I'm saying? Like, so those things aren't like they can all exist together. And I think that from a financial standpoint, that's always been relative. I think whoever reported the context of the country where you had to give the father a goat and some gold or whatever you had to give, that financial exchange is nothing new. I mean, even in whatever religious text or whatever historical text you want to go back to, finances have always been relevant, especially when it comes to marriage. I mean, some of these countries that we, quote unquote, want to mimic, last conversation, when a person get married in their culture at the reception, they throwing ones at the wife. They making it rain. Okay, it's rain dances in all of these other countries. And that's where I get a little, quote unquote, turned off, because it's like, well, we want to take this from this culture, but we don't want to take that from that culture. What I haven't heard in this conversation is a way to empower black men to secure that bag of financial stability, if you don't like that cliche, that everybody else is getting, that, the Asians are getting, that all of these other people are getting. Like in my complex, like you said, when you walk out your door, you see one thing. When I walk out my complex, this black girl that's working on her doctorate, that she's funding herself to school, and I'm driving a Honda. The Asians that live out here, they got Maseratis, they got Range Rovers, they got all of these things. So people are stunting and living their life the way they want to. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the sales of all of these luxury things. But
do you know why they do that, though?
But let me finish.
Let
me finish. All I'm saying is that everybody has a choice. And in making that choice, I can't be mad at nobody as long as they ain't trying to borrow nothing from me. So to kind of say what, highlighting more so Albert's point about what people want and the disconnect and all that kind of stuff, it's okay. Most men that I meet, like the ones that's like, I'm really like, dang, checking for him, they don't care how much I make, because at the end of the day, I'm still a woman. I think it was Jadakiss that said money might make you grown, but you still need a dog to take you home and make you moan. Like Kill said, as far as what we need, we still need things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to come home from class and have just somebody to talk to about my day, somebody that's dedicated. Now, do I need somebody that can reciprocate financially? I do need that, because I do like things. Kids can't eat books. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I don't value an opinion. Y'all see, I like to talk. So y'all know my dude don't have to have a strong ear. You know what I'm saying? So there are things that we need outside of the finances. It's just that the finances get highlighted because of the reality that only 30% are going to college. So it's like, do you value financial stability? So if you aren't in college, do you have your own business? Or what kind of various things have you put in place in this European-run society to make yourself more competitive? Now, I'm not saying it's got to be a degree, but what I'm saying is if it's not a degree, then what is it? Then what is it that you're doing? Did you go in the military? Did you start your own business?
Unity. It's black unity.
You
spoke about the people from other countries and other cultures. They have a culture. Black people's culture is trying to be white. That's black people's culture in America. Black people want to be.
That's why you went to the white school.
No, like you can throw as many shots as you want. You understand? I can throw shots too. But I mean, I'm speaking reality. Like I'm speaking reality. I'm not here to argue with you about some shit that made you mad that I said. You know what I'm saying? The Asian,
you don't have the power to that. We had a conversation.
The Asian is more successful because they have a culture. The Jew is more successful because they have a culture. The Indian is more successful because they have a culture. Black people don't have a culture. And that might be too deep.
We have a code.
But black people have nothing except they're trying to get money so they can emulate white people. That's why black people get so upset when they're not accepted by white people. That when Asians are made fun of. Asians are made fun of. Every race is made fun of. But the only race that takes it personal is black people. Because they're trying to become that. They're trying to be white. That's why. That's the reason. We haven't come amongst ourselves and accepted our struggle. We haven't done it. We have yet to do it. We've been in this country since the European brought us here in 1500. And we have not accepted our own struggle to say, I'm not trying to be like them. I'm trying to be myself. The Koreans are making billions of dollars off of our women buying hair weave. They're going to other countries and cutting off women's hair so we can look like other people because we haven't accepted ourselves. We haven't accepted our own. And that's our problem. Like we're running around trying to secure the bag. And what are you going to do with the bag when you get it? Give it to some German for a car? Like what are you going to do when you secure the bag? Are you going to build something for your children?
I am. That's what I'm.
No, I'm not talking about your children. I'm not talking about the children that came out of your womb. I'm talking about our children. I'm talking like how the Jews have Hebrew school, how they have a culture. It's not about. See, Ruby, I think your problem is that you're not seeing the world through the eyes of the black race. You're seeing and the black race is faltered, and you're a part of that.
That could be your opinion. You can view that as my problem. However, and I would, say that's a little, I'm not even going to say which adjective it is, but I just think it's wild that over 2 conversations you have, conceptualized me to say that, quote unquote, this is my problem, when the podcast is not about what Ruby's problem is. It's my perspective. And I've given marriage to your perspective.
And I've told you what the solution is. The solution
always
is for
make
our
it seem like you're the voice of black people, but you're not, because you ain't speaking for me. The stuff you saying ain't speaking for me. So, and I'm a black woman. So when you gonna start saying something that relates to me? Because you're not.
But again, Ruby, you are the minority. You are.
What
I'm saying is probably over your head, Ruby. But I'm directing everything.
But I exist. As much of a minority as I am, I exist. So don't minimize the reality just because
you haven't been minimized. Maybe you've been minimized in your reality somewhere else. Maybe somewhere else you've been minimized. But everything that you said is valid, Ruby. Everything that you've said is valid. Everything is valid to your reality. But I'm not speaking to your reality. I'm speaking to the reality of our people. And our people have these
part
problems.
Of our people. What I'm saying is, and that's why I said this podcast is so instrumental. Because I say we all come from different perspectives. So all I'm saying is don't tell me to shush because you feel like you're speaking to a bigger majority.
I never told you to shush.
Essentially, that's what you do because you just told me I had a problem. So that kind of, put my stuff on like earthquake status, all my things that I've said. I've done nothing but give merit to your points, and then I simply give my point. Why I feel like you minimize it because you make it your business to give your point, and then you come to kind of reduce why my point isn't as salient as yours because it doesn't apply to quote unquote the majority. But I'm the majority that's quote unquote trying to make the difference. Martin Luther King is only one person. We don't have 55 Martin Luther Kings in our history. You know what I'm saying? Like that we're learning about. Now, as far as like the struggle and people that, you know, put forth we do. So what I'm saying is that, you know, he's the only person that had a dream. We don't talk about, and then you know what J. Cole had one.
That's not
but
true.
we don't talk about this thing. So all I'm saying is
Martin Luther King was a scumbag for the record.
Equal magnification to everybody's situation and reality. I didn't grow up in poverty. I didn't grow up, you know, this way, that way. But I did have real life experiences. And I am who I am.
Nobody discounted your experience. Nobody is discounting. Everything that you're saying is valid. However, if you're a coach on the basketball team and I'm a coach on the basketball team, and we both assistant coaches, right? But my way of coaching the team is going to win us more games than your way of winning the game. Then that means that something that is
who
being
says
done.
That though? Who makes that? How is that?
I'm just saying. I'm making an example. If we two assistant coaches, and the way that you coaching is losing the game, and the way that I'm coaching is winning the game, you're not as effective as what I'm saying to the team.
Okay, but in this conversation, that's not accurate. Like, you ain't making the bigger difference than I am. Like, I mean, come on, really.
Oh, but Ruby, let me ask you a question. Hold on, Cam. Hold on, Cam. Ruby, let me ask you this. Why are you making everything personal? Like, you're not the entire black race, so we can't always.
I'm not.
All right. So what we're saying is overall. Hold on. What we're saying is overall. Huh? I'm saying overall, we as a group of people in America have a issue, and these are the causes of that issue. And now we got to work from that perspective. Now, because you don't apply, like that issue doesn't apply to you, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist and it shouldn't be discussed. I
agree.
All right. So why are you taking it so personal?
I shut up when y'all want to talk.
No, I'm saying, but why are you taking it? When we taking it so personal, like you don't have to.
Said when he said I had a problem, that's when we had to like start saying we had to start.
No, he's saying you had a problem understanding where he was coming from. He's not saying you literally have a problem.
I just don't agree with it. I don't agree wholeheartedly.
You don't have to agree with it. But you don't have to. I don't believe that he's represented.
I don't. You're absolutely right.
You don't have to agree. Right. You don't have to agree with hundreds of people out in the streets doing bad things that you don't agree with, but they still doing it.
Exactly.
That's a personal decision. And then when the police come and stop them from doing that, nobody's really upset because they were doing the wrong thing. There's plenty of decisions to be made and choices to be made, but every choice ain't the right choice. When you're looking at the whole group, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole group. I'm not talking about a couple of black people going to college and then they services is used for the benefit of a company that's not our community. And you just was talking about the Asians and the Indians that live in your complex. Because when they go do something, they do it as a unit. You don't have to, I mean, you're like you said, your reality is not my reality. You don't know the same people I see. When I come out the house, I see Dominicans on the corner making millions of dollars. I see Asians on the corner making millions of dollars. And then when those Asians leave the store, they family come in and make millions of dollars. Because they working as a team. They working as a unit. They getting their family into this country so they can make millions of dollars and then ship that shit back home to where they from.
So why aren't black people doing it? Why aren't black people doing that?
Listen, you know the Dominicans get a lot of money from the United States government to open them stores. They get thousands. I talked to the dude that ran the store on 55th and Christian. Mm-hmm. The dude said they gave him almost $800,000 to open that store. Do you think that anybody from that community could get $800,000 from the government?
But why are we relying on the government to open the store when we
have? You're 1,000% right. We don't have to do that. You're 1,000% right. You're 1,000% right.
So again, all we have to do is come together. And first things first, black men and black women have to come together as far as getting married. Because again, us having kids out of wedlock affects the children. Now we're gonna have a culture of children growing up without daddy in the house. They're gonna raise, and then that's gonna be the norm after a while. Then it's gonna be 0% of black
honestly,
people getting
already
married.
The norm.
And,
it's already the
yeah,
norm.
You're right. It's already too late.
85% of black children, 85% don't have a dad
in the home. And I think that's a major issue. Now, I'm saying that first things first, to correct that, is we have to understand why black men and black women aren't getting together in holy matrimony. And it seemed like between you and Ruby Red, it's like it's a real good example, because we're not understanding each other. We're not understanding where each other is coming from. Because I'm trying to make it real simple. Like, I understand that people are like attracted to a certain type, but women, I think, have a hard time compartmentalizing the lustful part of a relationship and the loving part of a relationship. Like Ruby once posted on Facebook that you need more than love. And my opinion is that's all you need. Because if we in love, and like real love, what real love is, then whatever's lacking, we're gonna find a way to go get that together. And I think other cultures, I'm not gonna say it's love, but it's rooted in something. It might be love for their culture. It might be love for their race, but it's rooted in something that they put their bullshit to the side and go get it so their kids can have a better future. We're not doing that. You understand? So one gender is about getting sex and having pleasure, and the other gender is about getting and attaining toys and stuff like that. And to me, it's both nonsense, because you can still do what you want to do, but you have to do it together. You understand? But look, we should end this joint now, because we're going real long, and it's hard for me to, to stay up and edit all this when it's this long. So let's we should continue this next week. Y'all want to come back and finish next week?
Sure, I'm good with that.
Okay, so before I close it out, anybody want to make any closing remarks?
I would just like to say that, I think that this is, we're moving in a positive direction, but again, I'm always looking at like systems analysis. And I think that, again, our problems are that we exist within a culture that is alien to us, like historically, and it creates a lot of problems because it's supposed to create problems. Everything that's happening is nothing coincidental nor accidental. So the distrust between the black woman and the black man, or however you want to put it, the black man and the black woman, this is something that benefits those in control. It benefits the larger society. It benefits global white supremacy. It benefits neo-colonialism and, all these other systems that we exist within. And I do think that this, of course, would take much more work and much more time, and we may not see the fruits of this while we are still living, but I think that we have to remove ourselves, at least even if we physically are here on this land, we have to figure out a way to create some like separate maroon spaces where we can exist under a different culture, a culture that is more innate to us historically, where we not to say that we'll be living in a utopia, because we won't. There'll never be a utopia where you're dealing with humans, because human beings have different concerns and different likes and dislikes, and there will always be conflict. And conflict can be healthy. Conflict is not always a bad thing. You grow from as a result of conflict. But we have to create a situation where we're existing under our own rules and our own guidelines. And I think that's the larger picture. That's really the larger picture, because all this mess that we're in, like Jacob Carruthers used to say, how we can get out this mess that we're in is prescribed for us. You know, it's forced upon us, and it's again, it's not accidental or coincidental, none of it. So I think we, you know, at the conversations, we have to keep that in mind at all times, that we got to figure out a way to do us under our own terms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would like to just close out by saying, you know, a quote that says, the shoe that fits one, it's not verbatim, but it just basically says the shoe that fits one pinches another. And so basically there's not one recipe or basically, you know, one solution for everybody. And so while we're all Black Americans, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. And if you look at different countries, you know, not every group comes and, you know, does the same thing. So with that being said, there are always going to be people in different socioeconomic status. Like you're going to have some families that are like Rock. You're going to have some families that are like the Jeffersons. You're going to have some families that are like the Huxtables.
Mm-hmm.
And I think where the confusion comes in place is where somebody, you know, is comfortable living, you know, maybe like this way, pairs up with somebody that had the vision of living that way. And, you know, like Albert kind of consistently said, you know, you're not Claire Huxtable. And Claire was married to Cliff. And so he had some things that were, you know, specific to the kind of person he was. So I think that if we can kind of keep things in the context and the fact that we are from different countries, some of us from different islands and different things, and we put value on different things, and that exists cross-culturally in every demographic, there's the socioeconomic status poll, then I think once we get in tune with that, we'll realize that it's okay to have differing opinions about different things, because we're not necessarily going to be the people that are with each other as much as we are going to be the people that help the group that we're trying to poll. So the people that I'm speaking to that can relate to more my perspective on this solution podcast may be ABC. Cam may have FG, you know, and Akil may have XYZ, but see, we're all appealing to Black people. And I think as long as we keep doing that, it continues to be a healthy dialogue. And I think that we can just agree to disagree on the topics that we have different opinions on.
I agree 1,000% with what Akil said. As far as trying to find our place and trying to integrate ourselves into something that's our problem right now. We have to we got to find our own space, just like you said, just like Marcus Garvey said. We got to find our own space, because as long as we send in our children to be educated by people that generally hate us, we're going to try to pick up their values and think that what they have is better than what we have and who we are, and they're more beautiful and their image is better than our image. That's one of the root problems is from childhood. You see yourself as a second-class citizen because you're not in control of your image. You're not in control of your education. You're not in control of pretty much anything. That's why we don't trust each other, because when you grow up, you see images of yourself as negative. You see, that's just your reality. And I believe that our solutions are very simple to say, but very hard to do. We have to come together as a unit. It can't be we agree to disagree, because when the world was at war in the 1940s, everybody agreed that Hitler had to go. That was the Russians didn't agree with the Americans didn't agree with the British, but everybody agreed that Hitler had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring that back to us, because we have to agree that our situation has to change, and things have to happen to make that, drastic things have to happen to make that change. And that's how I'm going to close it.
All right. And I'm going to just leave like this. First, going back to my point about women not being Claire Huxtable, I'm not talking about who she was as far as her stature. I'm talking about who she was and her personality. The person, she loves her husband, she loves her kids, and she's all about her family. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about how we need to interact with one another, is I'm talking about love over everything. And when we're dating, we should be trying to find love over everything else. I know getting money and all that and having luxury is cool, but again, if you go to college, and I'm talking about male or female, if you have the bag, why is it so important for your significant other to have the bag? You got it, you good. Now you should be looking for love, because when love is in your household, everybody wins. So that's how I'm gonna leave it. So again, to all the people who were online looking, I want y'all to take this podcast and send it to your friends, and and I hope y'all come back next week and we'll continue this dialogue then. So thank everybody for joining, and good night.
No differences between me and you. I bleed red. You bleed green. What you been building for us?